Coming up on 5 Minute News. US to restrict travel from India over COVID starting Tuesday. Israel mourns deaths of 45 in religious festival stampede. And EU accuses Apple of antitrust breach after Spotify complaint. It's Saturday, May 1. I'm Anthony Davis. The US will restrict travel from India starting on Tuesday, the White House said yesterday, citing a devastating rise in COVID-19 cases in the country and the emergence of potentially dangerous variants of coronavirus. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said President Joe Biden's administration made the determination on the advice of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Biden signed a proclamation barring entry to most foreigners who've been in India in the past 14 days, with exceptions for legal permanent residents, spouses, and close family members of US citizens and some others. He cited the spread of the virus and its variants. With 386,452 new cases, India now has reported more than 18.7 million since the pandemic began, second only to the United States. The Health Ministry on Friday also reported 3,498 deaths in the last 24 hours, bringing the total to 208,330. Experts believe both figures are an undercount. Biden spoke on Monday with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the growing health crisis and pledged to immediately send assistance. Additionally, a CDC team of public health experts was expected to be on the ground soon to help Indian health officials move to slow the spread of the virus. The holiday of Lag BaOmer is one of the happiest days on the calendar for Israel's ultra-Orthodox community, a time of mass celebrations in honor of a revered sage. But in a split second on Friday, the festive gathering in northern Israel turned into one of the country's worst ever tragedies, with at least 45 people crushed to death and dozens injured in a stampede. The disaster prompted a national outpouring of grief as devastated families rushed to identify their dead relatives and bury them ahead of the Jewish Sabbath. There was also anger towards authorities over an accident that experts had long feared, further clouding Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's hopes of remaining in office. Netanyahu, who briefly visited Mount Meron at midday, offered his condolences. He announced that Sunday would be a day of national mourning and said that he had joined the masses of people who donated blood for the victims. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin lit 45 candles in honor of the dead. The stampede erupted at around 1 a.m. as people began to leave and thronged a narrow tunnel-like passage. According to witnesses, people began to fall on a slippery ramp, causing others to trip and sparking panic. Avigdor Hayat, who survived the stampede, described slipping on the ramp and getting trapped in the crowd with his two sons, aged 10 and 13. "My son screamed, 'I'm dying,' he told Israel's public TV station Kan. A policeman tried to pull him and his younger son out of the crowd, but couldn't move them." Hours later, in hospital with his 10-year-old, they learned that his other son had died. Lag BaOmer is very popular with Israel's ultra-Orthodox community. The main event takes place each year at Mount Meron. This year, authorities said some 100,000 people attended. Video footage from the scene of the disaster showed large numbers of people, most of them ultra-Orthodox men, squeezed into the tunnel. Witnesses said that police barricades had prevented the people from exiting properly, but a distrust of government by the community has put the blame at the foot of Netanyahu. European Union regulators accused Apple on Friday of violating the bloc's antitrust laws, alleging the iPhone maker distorts competition for music streaming by imposing unfair rules for rival services in its App Store. The EU's Executive Commission said it objected to Apple's rules for music streaming services that compete with its Apple Music service, saying they end up costing consumers more and limiting their choices. The charges underscore the long-running feud over app payments between Apple and popular music streaming service Spotify, which filed a complaint that sparked the investigation, one of 4 the company is facing from the EU. Regulators in Brussels are also investigating other big US tech companies like Amazon and Google amid a growing global movement to rein in their power. Apple rejected the charges, saying it was proud of its role in helping Spotify grow into a music streaming giant. The company also pointed out Spotify doesn't pay Apple a commission for 99% of its paid subscribers. Brussels said while Spotify had grown despite the restrictions, they were hurting business for smaller music streaming players like Deezer and SoundCloud. The App Store rules are an issue beyond just music streaming services because many other app makers depend on it as a gatekeeper to iPhones and iPads, they said. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.